So one thing I wanted to explore today was second style of cloud hands, but then I also wanted to, because it's midterms week, I wanted to explore something that's a little kind of more advanced, but there's not a whole lot of people here and there's no one on there yet. But there's different warrior poses. So there's warrior breath. And this is still a Qigong hybrid, but it's all about like really pulling that energy in and then like this explosive, almost like Kia moment, which might help with chiropractic or any type of like joint issue, maybe not acupuncture, you don't want to stab someone. But I think it helps to like energize. So if you have those moments where in the morning you're struggling to work out or you're struggling to come in, sometimes those warrior breaths are really, really nice to be able to kind of energize yourself. And I've noticed that like if I go to exercise and I'm really struggling, doing a couple rounds of warrior breaths can kind of like stimulate myself, and then I'm able to do a little bit more exercise. But let's start as we normally start, kind of weight on the balls of our feet, that bubbling well acupoint. Knees relaxed, back straight, pelvis almost posterior tilt, so kind of like tucking your sacrum and coccyx in. Head up, right in the sun. This is exactly where I want to be. Chin tucked, tongue to like the top of your mouth, and shoulders relaxed. And we just take some breaths in. Gather that energy, angle our palms down towards our face, and then slowly on our exhale, guide that energy down. Inhale. And exhale. That energy almost knows where it needs to go. One more time, inhale in deep. Grab all that chi around you. And now you focus it on where it needs to go. Cool. Now, if you remember from Yang style with cloud hands, it was this motion, right? You're following that guide arm. With Shen style, it's like this. So this hand isn't as important. This you can almost gather. So in Shen Tai Chi, cloud hands is kind of like this. So like you grab the energy around you like this. So you're like this big swooping, almost like this figure 8 for Tai Chi. It's this swoop and then pulling across yourself. Swoop, and then you can kind of guide. With Qigong, since it's not these like big, boisterous movements, you can kind of think of, all right, we have that starting posture, but now, like, so this was Yang, then we slid that hand down. Now with Shen, now you're almost coaxing the energy around you. So you push this way. And this hand, you can have it inward, you can have it outward. This bottom hand, really it's up to you. This top hand is what you're actually doing, like that cloud hands or that waving hands through clouds type access. So you move that hand through and then you kind of swoop up like that and across. So see like this big swoop, and then you push that energy around. So having this hand almost inside can work nicely because you grab that energy and then you help push it along. Pull it up. And then as you exhale and you rotate, you're guiding that hand outward. It still stays pretty even with, your body. You're not pushing your arm out this way because you don't want the chi out here. You want it near you. So that like big swoop, pull, push type thing. So pull up and push out like that. And then you swoop and then rotate. So that's why, like, having that mindset that we covered last week with this, how you can rotate your hands in that circle, right? And you want to maintain that body posture, almost like your robot like this can really come in handy when it was like this a little easier, now you're rotating a hand out. Even though I'm swooping, look what I'm doing with my hands. I'm swooping like this, I'm still making that ball, right? And then I rotate, and now I'm this way, I want this hand on top. I'm still going around that world, but now I'm swooping up, and across the chest. The slower you go, the more you feel it. The more you can press against that energy, almost like you're falling against a wall. But the Chi's not going to let you fall. So you can almost lean into it and feel where it is. I actually feel it in my bottom hand. I push out. Really test the boundaries of that Chi. One more time on your own. Nice. Differences, hand outward versus hand inward?
Yes.
Which one you like better, or was this one a little weird when it came to going around the world?
Yeah, I think the sweeping idea kind of got my brain thinking too much into it, but if I just don't think about it, just kind of move through it, it feels
Yep.
better.
One thing I like with this, I was milling it over today, and actually today seems to be really, really nice because there's not a lot of people here. There's a style called Wuji, which is kind of like an in-between of Qigong and Tai Chi. It's like Qigong with movement. And it's, if you've ever heard freeform jazz, it's like that, but with Qigong. I find it like amazing, but when you have a lot of people, you end up bumping into each other. So with that, you use the hand postures of Qigong, but you let your body move you wherever that Qi wants to move you. So when it comes to movements, it's slightly different than what we learned with Tai Chi, where with Tai Chi for arthritis, remember it was like heel, toe, and then it was toe, heel when you stop. With this, it's even more simplified. It's as you move, it's heel, toe, and then you put your weight forward, and then once all your weight is on this leg, then you can lift this leg. This goes wherever you need it to go. Let's say I want to go this way, heel, toe, bend my knee, dorsiflex, put my weight on this leg. Now I can lift this leg. And if I want to keep going this direction, I keep going that direction. So it helps with this slow movement. And if you started to notice it with cloud hands, as you're moving, sometimes that energy, your body takes you out of this posture, right? You're stable, you're like this, everything's rock. And then as you start to move like wind or like water, now your body starts to sway and you go, okay, well, I want to move this way. Go with it. That's where those nice, transition steps can work in. So you go this way and you go, okay, well maybe I want to take a step. Now I can. I'm not locked into this body posture. So I take a step here, and my brain might want to kick in and go, where do I go next? It's not for your brain to decide. It's for the flow to decide. So now you go this way and you go, okay, maybe I go here now. So this was a different hand posture, which is what I want to get into. Because feet movement is one thing. Hand postures, if all you have is cloud hands, it gets pretty boring when you're moving around. Your hand posture evolves. So cloud hands, we started right. We had Yang style, then we had Shen style, then you have Sun style. That's just cloud hands. There's a form called push hands, which is exactly what it sounds like. You push your hands, but you don't let your hands get close. So there's always one kind of facing outward, and then you rotate the other one. So you're like this. And you use this energy to push that one. And then you can rotate and push this way. As a starting, using that same axial rotation that we did with cloud hands, you kind of push, and then as you rotate, almost like you have a pearl in between you, and you keep that space in between. And you start with, let's say, that standard feet locked in place posture, and then just let it go. And you just move with it. And you go. Now your hands are guiding your feet, right? Now I'm outside the camera, so now I gotta go this way. And then maybe I throw some sand to the sky. There's hundreds of different hand postures. There's this, like you're holding grains of rice and you're releasing the grains of rice, right? As you move. There's the transition postures that we have around the world. If you go like this, where you change it so it's forward, now you have almost like a plate or like a railroad tire in between you. Now you can go backwards, or you can go forwards with it, which is nice. You have our transition breaths with up and down, this like flowing water, or like you have a giant slinky in between your hands, right? And then you can easily, the more you postures that you have with your toolbox, the more something like Wuji becomes available or accessible, because then you don't have to get stuck in your head. All too often with these types of postures, even something like yoga not as much once you get better with it, but like just letting that movement take you. And there was one person who asked me about, isn't there a step in cloud hands? There is a step in Tai Chi cloud hands, and it's like this. That's it. It's one step laterally. I don't think that's enough. And also, what if my body doesn't want to take me on a perpendicular axis? If I want to go on an angle, and then let's say I push hands this way, and then I want to do this, and I draw the bow and I push that way, I can do so much more if I just let the chi take me. Sound confusing?
No.
Okay. I like that one. It's a little bit more fun in open spaces if you're not self-conscious. If you're like, ooh, people are going to be looking. One, who cares? But I do that over here sometimes, where I'll just come and I go, all right, well, where do my hands want to take me? Where do I want to rotate? Do I want to look this way? Is something calling me that direction? Time-wise, 12:32, 15 minutes. You want to give Wuji a try? See where it takes you? Okay. Remember your well, you don't have to remember it, but know where
Yeah,
you
I just
start.
wanna start
Yeah, you can still start with that. Great idea. You can start with that breathing where you breathe in, you get that big expanse, and then as you exhale, you close in. This is like, that was that like chi sensitivity or that chi building that I'd mentioned, where it helps you to, on your breaths, you get really expansive. And then when you exhale, everything comes together. Your hands never touch. And then as you exhale, and the slower you go, the more that energy builds in between your hands. And then what I think helps is start with cloud hands, whichever one, yang style or Shen. And when you get to that rotation, let your feet go. Just send it. And wherever you go, you go. And for those hopefully eventually watching on YouTube, same thing. Have an open space around you. Give yourself opportunity. And then start with either yang style, Shen style. And as you go, rotate your hands and just send it. Followed by push hands, and maybe around the world. Train track, pushing that plate. And maybe grains of rice. Angle the arrow down. Hand off the present. Push hands back. And maybe we cloud hands. Falling on. You're a little squirrel friend for a second. So what did you think? It's a different take on things, especially.
I think I'd like to do it by myself to be a little more fluid.
Yep. I was trying to talk so there wasn't just like dead air, but yeah, if you're able to put relaxing music on that you like and you're able to just exist in your space and in your thoughts, just let it go. It's awesome.
I like that a lot.
Last little bit, want to try that warrior posture? So it's not like warrior 2, it's not like warrior 3 with yoga. You're not in a position where you might be out of balance. There is one warrior posture, but that one you end up on your like tiptoes. So depending on how you feel with that, maybe not, given the space. But with this one, unlike the other postures we did where it was very stationary, right? Or like legs were, shoulder width apart. With Tai Chi, for arthritis, our feet were kind of at that V shape. With this, you get into a nice horse stance, as low as you can go, comfortably and things of that nature. And with this one, you still want your weight on the balls of your feet, so that if somebody came by you, they're not going to push you over, right? And with this one, it's called deer antlers, and you pull that energy across your chest. And when you're at like shoulder height, you rotate out almost like panther paws, and you go, hey! See? That breath. So in those moments, if you need, that was probably real loud for the headset, but in those moments, it's all slow, so you sink down, and you push. And that's why it's a little bit more intense than some of the other Qigong poses, because with that it's like, let's build the energy and let's just cultivate it and let's bring it in and harness it. Tai Chi for arthritis, it's like, let's use that energy and heal our joints and maintain our balance and strength. And then this one's like, hey, do you just want to like push massive amounts of energy that direction? Yeah. Cleanses the lungs, things of that nature. So that's a warrior posture. That was the first warrior posture I had learned. Even just staying low and still maintaining that back straightness, it helps with like maintaining that nice stable posture. You're not gonna like fall over whichever way you go. It helps to like practice for eventually like drawing the bow stances and things like that. But yeah, that one I like. The other one, which he didn't mention it this way, but in hindsight kind of looks like LeBron, is where you're still in horse stance, but you grab down low and you go, hey! And you just throw up. So you might want to back away from trees when doing that. But yeah, that one you start low, and then when you end, you're on like tiptoes. So that's why depending on your posture, you can be like, and you'll fall over. Maybe not in the LRC, don't do that one, or maybe do. So yeah, I like those are different warrior postures, and they're taken from like olden times when that's stuff that they would use to really rile themselves up in a positive way. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so
We did Shen style of cloud hands for Qigong, which was rotating hand outward. So I don't know if you remember, there's Qigong style of cloud hands and there's Tai Chi style of cloud hands. And with Tai Chi, with cloud hands, it's like this big like figure 8 motion, right? Where you're like this. You almost like do this motion, right? And it almost gets rhythmic, it almost gets robotic with this. With Qigong, since now you're adding that second hand, it's pulling this energy across. You're just using this hand almost like as you drip, that energy collects. That's just how my brain uses it. You don't have to use that visual, but like this notion of you're still using that motion, this motion, right?
like brushing and then this one facing.
Yeah, with this hand facing you, that's Yang style,
Yeah.
which is also great. Shen style, all you do is you switch your hands.
But this one still brushes.
Yeah, because you're like guiding over like a veil, as if there's like a blanket or like a blanket of energy around you. So you can go like this. I still have that hand inward, just feels more natural for me.
Yeah, I like
So then I do this, and then you rotate, and you're still guiding, using that top arm to guide you in your axial rotation. Other thing we went through, not briefly, it took us a decent amount of time, is there's a form, or not necessarily a form, but a variation of Qigong and Tai Chi called Wuji, which is like an old form in essence. And it's still about energy, so Ji, but it's like movement. So it's like Qigong, where you're stationary for a lot of this stuff, but now you take into account actual movement with your feet. So it's similar to Tai Chi because there's movement with your feet, but it's not so rigid in that it's like heel, toe, toe, heel, or it's not as rigid. I equate it to freeform jazz, where you let the chi move you. So if during the course of cloud hands, your feet are rooted and you're like, oh, I want to go this way, and you notice that your body's moving you that way, you can take that step and go with it. And you go, okay, well, now my weight's here. What do I do with this leg? Where does your leg want to go? Does it want to keep going this way? Or do you now go this way? So you can use the space around you more advantageously, instead of just, I have all this beautiful space, beautiful air, all this nature, and I feel rooted. Qigong is great for rootedness, for building, for cultivating that energy. Once you have it, send it. Move with that energy. Take it with you, as opposed to just like, it's mine. I got it. I'm just going to hold on to it. Look how tight I am. This energy's not going anywhere. But then that also means I'm super tight and I'm not going to do anything with it either. So that's why a lot of the posture is loose and open. What I demonstrated with Paige, right, is different hand postures. So we've looked at Yang style cloud hands and Shen style cloud hands, but that's it so far. So what we explored was, you have the different transitions, right? When you're rotating your hands, you got this one, right? As you breathe in, you also have this one, almost like you have a giant sleeky in between your hands. Yep. Yep. So those can be incorporated into this as well. But then you have what's called push hands, which isn't a trick. It's literally you push your hands, right? So as you can still start with that rotation, but now your hands almost move like a giant pearl of energy is between your hands. So you push, and then when you get to the end, rotate your hands, and then you push back. That one's nice because it's relatively simplistic, and the title is nice. You just push your hands where you think your hands want to go, and you just let them go. There's withdrawing the bow, your hands back here, and then you push down. You can do that too. So as you take a step, you can go, and now I'm guiding this energy down towards my knee. But now once I'm down here, where do I go? Well, I can around the world. I can push hands. I can transition. I can cloud hands. So with the different hand postures that you learn, and some of them you can just make up on your own.
So that's just space for creativity?
Absolutely, with that style. And I like it. And Paige said she was going to practice on her own when she can just be in her own space. She's very smart. Because sometimes, like, I talk too loud, I talk too much. But if you're able to find your space and relax and put calming music on, or listen to animal noises or birds and things like that, and just kind of, and just let wherever, like right now the wind's pushing me that way, so I want to go this way. But then once I come this way, am I stuck going here? No. I can even back up. As long as I maintain stable footing. Before you lift that other leg, you want your weight on this leg. Because if you stumble, well, you fall down and then you get back up. But to minimize stumbling, to reinforce that strength, to reinforce that balance, you look at your postures. So you do that heel, toe, dorsiflex, weight on the balls of your foot. Now I take this leg up. Now this leg wants to go somewhere. What if I go like this? And now my hips are pointing this way. So now my weight's here. Weight. Now I can do something with this leg. I can keep going that way, or I can come back around. So I like it. It's creative. It's exploring the space, and it's really taking that energy that we build upon and build up and cultivate and strengthen with Qigong. And a nice way, and I mentioned it before, to start with something like Wuji is just start with normal cloud hands, and then the second you feel your body or your energy pulling you a direction, instead of stopping it, send it, just go with it. And then now you're flowing. The more you think about, when should I start? When should I move my feet? When should I move my hands? Hopefully, in time, the chi that is building in your hands, as you move, you press against that wall. All right, well, I don't want to go that way, or maybe I do. I push that way, but now that I have it, maybe I send it this way. So there's a lot to do with Qigong, Tai Chi, Wuji. These, especially opening steps, I think are beneficial for like opening your mind to like that things aren't like set in stone. There are protocols that you have to follow, you know, by the letter, and I think Tai Chi for arthritis is that. In order to call it Tai Chi for arthritis, there's specific moves for it. And I think that's what brings me more to something like Qigong or like freeform, is that ability to kind of go, all right, yes, there's a place for the medicinal side of Tai Chi and Qigong. But then there's also a place for, what if I just want to move? You're still strengthening your legs. You're still building that posture. You're not moving like this, right? That would be more like a different style. But you're still moving with a purpose. You're still moving slowly. And the slower you go, now it strengthens it even more. So my leg's shaking because I've been doing this too much today. But it's still forcing me to maintain that posture. I'm not bending over and going, oh. If I'm doing that, might as well stop, because it's going to hurt my chi, in essence. So I think we're at 12:50. So if you have classes to go to, I have a class to go to. Definitely want to thank you both for coming. It's fine you came late, no worries. I think running through the recap was also helpful for everyone who's hopefully going to watch later. So this will post online. Camera was only looking at me, so you ladies don't have to worry about anything. But with this, feel free to practice at home. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have anything that you want to explore via Qigong or Tai Chi, also let in the comments for the YouTube page as well. So, thank you both. Have a wonderful weekend.